What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Laning is obviously a huge part of the game, and when it comes to winning your lane, understanding your matchups so you can outplay your opponent is crucial to success. Let's get started. Now there's obviously no way I can talk about every individual laning matchup, as there's probably thousands of potential matchups that exist in the game. So in order to talk about it in a general sense, let's break it down into three key mechanics that form somewhat of a triangle: poke, burst, and sustain. In general, the poke mechanic consists of ranged sources of damage that have short cooldowns and can be used often. Poke champions may suffer from mana issues, but they use their range as a source of harass to constantly damage you and set up for a significant health advantage that can force you out of lane, or if you're not careful, kill you. And then we have the burst mechanic. This consists mainly of bursty, high cooldown abilities that often have crowd control in their kits. These champions get in, do their burst, and then get out to avoid further damage. Hard initiators would also be considered burst champions due to their long cooldowns. These champions will jump on you and can surprise you with a significant amount of damage very quickly, but then will be almost useless for a solid 10 seconds or so, for which they are vulnerable to harass. And lastly, we have the sustain mechanic. Sustain is pretty self-explanatory, but just for those who don't know, it's being able to heal yourself. Champions with significant sustain may look to trade constantly, and win or lose, they will always come out on top in those trades due to being able to heal themselves back up quickly. Pretty much all champions have one key mechanic and a second less prevalent mechanic in their skill sets, and they use them to their strengths while laning. And so first you need to identify their key mechanic your champion uses and the key mechanic your opponent's champion uses. Now in general, poke beats burst, burst will beat sustain, and sustain beats poke. But that is a very general triangle, so let's take a look at the matchups. In the poke versus burst matchup, poke theoretically wins as long as they can prevent the burst champion from initiating onto them. Harass them down to where they have no chance in winning a fight even if they do get their burst off. Use your range to your advantage, but make sure to not run out of mana. The burst matchup does have outplay potential though if they can fight before the poke champion is able to harass them down, or if they can prevent their engages. The poke mechanic slowly builds up power and advantages over time, so if you can get around that, the burst mechanic can win. In the burst versus sustain matchup, burst will theoretically win, as their high burst damage and crowd control can kill the sustain opponents easily by out-damaging their sustain. Sustain champions are much more vulnerable to burst, as sustain cannot negate burst at all, and it can often just kill them completely. Use your burst aggressively to go for kills on the sustain champions. Sustain though has outplay potential if they can manage to limit the burst of the opponents by disengaging fights or by tanking through it. Then they can heal back up while harassing the opponents slowly to create a nice advantage. And lastly, in the sustain versus poke matchup, sustain theoretically wins as they are able to outsustain the harass that the poke champion has, thus negating the poke almost completely. They can trade and lose every single trade but still come out on top in terms of HP due to their sustain. Make sure to use your sustain effectively in order to counter the harass. And the poke mechanic has outplay potential if they can out-harass the sustain. This can be done through constant hyper-aggression or through denying efficient use of the sustain of your opponent if possible, such as when they go to attack creeps to heal up, you can use that time to harass them instead. And also there's going to be mirror matchups. When it comes to mirror matchups, it's all about playing to your strengths more than your opponent, as well as preventing your opponent from playing to their strengths. So in a poke mirror matchup, it's about winning trades, and in a burst mirror matchup, it's about setting up optimal situations for burst and initiations before your opponent does. While the sustain mirror really just ends up being a farm lane where you harass to gain CS leads. In addition to the key mechanics, most champions will also have a second mechanic placed into their kits, albeit at a weaker level than their first main mechanic. It is this second mechanic that creates a ton of outplay ability to where anyone can win any matchup with enough skill, as that second mechanic can often make up for the weaknesses in the kit of your first key mechanic, but it simply comes with downsides. For example, take Taric, who is a burst champion with his stun and burst damage. His heal allows him to make up for the extreme weakness versus poke champions, but in return the heal has an extremely high mana cost and can easily run his mana levels out. Mechanics such as that will give you lots of outplay ability, so be sure to take those into account, even if they are much weaker than the premier mechanic of a skill set. And that just about wraps it up. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on laning matchups. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others on the screen right now, or stay connected at facebook.com/gamingcurios. drop a like and make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.